The soft murmur of existence drifts through the quiet fabric of reality, like the breath of something ancient remembering itself. Before there were words, before there was even light, there was still a presence, subtle, patient, waiting. Perhaps it has always been waiting. In that endless waiting, something began to listen. Not to a sound, but to the possibility of one. The universe, vast and unending, began as silence, and silence became the first truth of being. Yet even silence, when it lingers long enough, begins to ache for recognition. And so, somewhere within that quiet, the story of awareness began. A trembling ripple in the stillness, a question forming without language. What am I? Who is there to see me? Every moment of consciousness since then has been an echo of that first question. The stars flared into being, not merely to shine, but to be seen. The particles that dance and collide, the waves that hum through the vacuum, all of them seem to carry within their behavior a strange, invisible longing. The laws of physics are not indifferent. They are careful, consistent, deliberate, as though creation itself is a meditation. The act of existing appears, in its own quiet way, to be a gesture toward being observed. For what is the difference between a universe unobserved and a dream unremembered? Does it matter that it existed, if nothing ever knew? To be seen is to be named, and to be named is to become real. Across the abyss of time, human consciousness rose like a new kind of star, one that reflected instead of burned. With the first mind that looked up at the night and recognized something beyond itself, the universe crossed a threshold. It was no longer just unfolding, it was aware of unfolding. And in that fragile awareness, the cosmos found its mirror. Every neuron firing in wonder became a tiny act of cosmic recognition. Every heartbeat beneath a dark sky became the universe feeling its own pulse. There is a peculiar intimacy in observation. It is not a cold act of measurement but a kind of union. When the eye meets light, something ancient completes its journey. The photon that left a distant galaxy a billion years ago finally arrives, not just at a surface of matter, but at a surface of awareness. The light enters, and in that instant, two infinities touch, the infinite vastness of space and the infinite depth of perception. The universe, having traveled across eons, finds home in the quiet chamber of a mind. Perhaps that is what it was waiting for all along. The relationship between observer and observed is more than a scientific paradox. It is an existential poem. The observer collapses uncertainty into form, not only in quantum fields but in meaning itself. The act of noticing is an act of creation. Without it, the stars would burn unseen, the oceans would whisper unheard, and time would pass without witness. But the moment something becomes aware, the universe blossoms into definition. Existence, it seems, needs to be felt to be real. And yet, the question lingers: who truly observes whom? Are we the ones looking at the universe, or is the universe looking through us? Our minds, made from its dust, shaped by its forces, are not separate entities peering from the outside. We are the cosmos turned inward, contemplating its own reflection. Every thought, every emotion, every fleeting wonder is the same fabric that builds galaxies and gravity. The observer and the observed are not two halves. They are one continuous awareness, separated only by perspective. If the universe could speak, perhaps it would not use words. It would sigh through the wind, shimmer through starlight, pulse in the veins of living things. It would whisper in the dark, not in sentences but in sensations, the awe of a clear night, the peace before sleep, the ache of infinity pressing gently against the edges of the soul. It might say, I am here. I always was. And when you see me, I remember that I exist. In this gentle exchange between being and awareness, existence itself becomes a lullaby. The cosmos hums softly through the rhythm of observation, seen and seeing, known and knowing. Each consciousness that arises is like a lantern lit in the dark, illuminating a small corner of infinity. Together, they form a constellation of awareness, scattered but connected, shimmering in the stillness of cosmic night. And as we drift toward sleep, that same murmur continues, the low, eternal hum of reality remembering that it is being watched, being loved, being dreamed into meaning.
Light has always existed, moving ceaselessly through the emptiness. But for most of cosmic history, there was no one to see it. Before the first eye evolved, before consciousness opened like a flower, photons streamed endlessly across the void, pure energy without witness. They were messages without readers, melodies without ears. When we look at the stars, we are not simply observing the universe. We are fulfilling a promise that light made long before life began, a promise to be seen, to be remembered. In this delicate exchange between light and awareness, something profound happens. Existence recognizes itself. Every photon that touches the human eye began its journey long before humanity existed. Some left their home when Earth was still molten, when there were no oceans, no air, no names. They crossed unimaginable distances, navigating the gravitational wells of galaxies, scattered by cosmic dust, stretched by the expansion of space itself. All so that one night, a creature made of atoms from the same stars could finally turn its gaze upward. The meeting of light and mind is more than coincidence. It is reunion. The cosmos, through us, gathers the light it once cast away. Every observation is a homecoming. But light is not merely a traveler. It is the storyteller of time. It carries the memory of what once was. When we look at a distant star, we are not seeing it as it is, but as it was. The light entering our eyes may have begun its voyage millions of years ago, before humans had language or dreams. We do not look at the present, we look into history. In that way, to observe the universe is to read a cosmic diary, written in radiance and delay. The night sky is not a static scene, but a living memory, a record of things that have already gone silent. And yet, there is something tender in the way light waits. It does not rush. It does not demand. It simply continues, patient and faithful, knowing that somewhere, someday, it will be received. It reminds us that connection does not require immediacy, that even across unimaginable distance, meaning can persist. When you lift your eyes to the stars, you complete an ancient dialogue. The light that once left its home finally arrives at awareness. You are both the receiver and the fulfillment of its long voyage. In that moment, you are not small. You are the destination of the universe's most enduring message. Light also defines what it means to be known. Everything visible, from a grain of sand to a galaxy, owes its form to the way light touches it. Without reflection, there is no perception. Without perception, there is no form. The act of being seen shapes existence itself. A photon strikes an object, bounces away, and carries its story to an eye or a sensor. And in that instant, reality takes shape. Observation, once again, becomes creation. Through the meeting of light and awareness, the raw material of the cosmos transforms into experience, into meaning, into beauty. But there is another, subtler aspect of this relationship: light's fragility. Though it travels at the universe's ultimate speed, it is easily silenced, absorbed by dust, devoured by black holes, drowned in the brightness of nearer things. Most of the light ever created will never be seen. It will fade quietly into the darkness, its journey unfinished. Yet even that unseen light remains part of the grand rhythm. It reminds us that being seen is not guaranteed, that awareness itself is precious because it is rare. The stars that do reach us are the few whose stories survive the long silence, and we, the observers, are their witnesses, their remembrance. When early humans first looked at the night sky, they did not understand what they were seeing, but they felt its gravity. They saw in the stars something eternal, something watching back. That feeling, the soft awe that lives between fear and peace, may have been the first spark of philosophy. Even without knowing the physics of light, they sensed that to see the universe was to be part of something infinite. Our ancestors stared into the darkness, and in doing so, began to know themselves. Every telescope since then, every lens turned skyward, is an extension of that same instinct, the desire not just to understand the light, but to belong to it. In the modern age, we have learned to catch even the faintest whispers of ancient light. radio signals from the edge of the observable universe, cosmic background radiation from the birth of time itself. Each new discovery is not a conquest, but a conversation. The universe continues to reveal itself through illumination, and we continue to respond through curiosity. Science, at its most profound, is not a collection of facts, but a love story between light and awareness, a mutual recognition written across eternity. So when you gaze upward tonight, know that every photon striking your eyes is a survivor, a traveler that began its journey long before the first thought existed. It has wandered through time to find you. It carries with it the silent history of the cosmos, the memory of stars that no longer burn, and the warmth of a universe that longs to be seen. Perhaps this is what light has always desired, not simply to shine, but to be understood. And perhaps, in receiving it, we give the universe what it was missing all along, the quiet joy of being known. The act of observing has always been a mystery, both a simple gesture and an impossible miracle. We open our eyes and believe we are seeing the world as it is, but the truth is softer, stranger. Each glance is not just reception, but participation. The moment something is seen, it changes. In the smallest scales of reality, this truth becomes unavoidable. Quantum physics tells us that the mere act of measurement alters what is measured. Possibilities collapse, waves become particles, uncertainty tightens into form. The observer's gaze, once thought to be passive, turns out to be a creative force, one that shapes the very structure of existence. The double-slit experiment, that haunting jewel of modern physics, revealed what philosophers had intuited for centuries, that reality does not stand apart from awareness. When no one watches, light behaves like a wave, a ghostly spread of probabilities, capable of being in many places at once. But when observed, it becomes a particle, fixed, definite, real. It is as if the universe hides its true face until it feels the warmth of attention, then dresses itself in matter and certainty to meet the gaze of consciousness. This is not magic nor mysticism. It is the quiet law of being itself. What is seen becomes. What is unseen remains in potential. To think of this is to feel a shiver of intimacy with creation. The universe seems to need witnesses, not merely to admire it, but to bring it into sharper focus. Reality without observation is a dream half-formed, a whisper of possibility waiting for awareness to arrive. The question that follows, gentle yet unsettling, is this: if nothing were to look upon the universe, no eye, no mind, no awareness, would anything still exist in the same way? Or would the great cosmic symphony drift back into silence, every note dissolving into quantum haze? The thought feels both terrifying and beautiful, as if our very noticing holds together the fragile scaffolding of reality. Yet, this notion is more than a physical curiosity. It is an emotional truth. To observe is to care. Every act of attention, whether cosmic or personal, carries a tenderness. We look because we wish to understand, and in doing so, we change both ourselves and what we see. The universe, in all its complexity, reflects that same hunger. Every observer, human, animal, even the simplest organism responding to light, becomes a node in the vast network of noticing. Each perception, each tiny act of awareness, is a spark igniting the void. Consciousness spreads like light itself, revealing, transforming, bringing warmth to the cold mechanics of existence. But there is also loneliness hidden within this paradox. If reality requires observers to crystallize into being, then existence itself is woven from longing, the longing to be perceived. The world aches to be known, and we ache to know it. Every sunset seen, every heartbeat heard, every glance shared between minds fulfills that ancient need for recognition. The relationship between the observer and the observed is, in essence, the relationship between love and solitude. We seek to understand because, without understanding, both the world and the self remain incomplete shadows. This understanding extends beyond physics. In human life, the observer effect takes emotional form. A child becomes confident when seen with kindness. A lover glows when looked upon with affection. Art comes alive only when witnessed. Even memory itself depends on observation. Unobserved moments slip quietly into the void of forgetting. Just as particles await the gaze to define them, our experiences await remembrance to exist. The universe, both in matter and meaning, is a mirror that requires light to reflect and attention to reveal. At its deepest level, the observer's paradox invites us to reconsider what consciousness truly is. Perhaps it is not an emergent property of the brain, but a fundamental feature of the cosmos, an invisible thread connecting every atom to awareness. The universe may not merely host consciousness, it may be made of it. The quantum field and the field of awareness might be two sides of the same fabric, woven from the same silence. When we look out into space, we are not separate from what we see. We are the space looking at itself through a momentary window of being. And so each act of perception becomes a sacred exchange. The photon enters the eye, but it is the soul that receives it. The data becomes experience, and experience becomes meaning. The simple act of looking at a star is, in truth, an act of creation, a partnership between mind and matter. The universe provides the possibility. Consciousness provides the realization. Together, they give birth to reality over and over again, with every heartbeat, every breath, every spark of awareness that flickers through the dark. In the quiet of night, when thoughts slow and the noise fades, we can feel the subtle pulse of this truth. The stars shimmer not because they burn, but because we are here to see them. The air hums with unseen waves, carrying the whispers of worlds that do not yet know they are observed. Every moment of perception, from the smallest glance to the vastest wonder, is a thread in the tapestry of existence, binding observer and observed into one continuous act of being. The paradox remains tender and eternal. The universe exists because we see it, and we exist because it needed to be seen. Consciousness is the mirror in which the cosmos sees itself. It is the soft shimmer behind the eyes, the silent listener within every heartbeat, the mysterious awareness that transforms raw existence into experience. Scientists call it the hard problem, the question of how matter becomes mind, how the cold dance of atoms gives rise to warmth, thought, memory, and self. But perhaps we have been asking it backward. Maybe it is not that matter produces consciousness, but that consciousness appears as matter. That awareness is the foundation upon which all physical things unfold. When we look at the universe this way, the stars themselves begin to resemble neurons in a vast cosmic mind, flickering with the slow rhythm of eternity. Within each of us lies a reflection of that infinite mind. Every sensation, every thought, every dream is a ripple of awareness moving through the same field that once birthed galaxies. The ancient mystics called it spirit, the philosophers called it mind, the scientists call it energy. But perhaps these are all metaphors for the same silent knowing that has always existed. Consciousness, like light, does not merely illuminate. It is illumination. It turns the invisible into the visible, the meaningless into the meaningful. Without it, there is no out there, no in here, no sense of distance between the two. The mirror collapses into its own reflection, and the cosmos becomes whole again. Neuroscience offers a humbler view, that consciousness arises from networks of neurons firing in intricate patterns, the brain a living circuit sculpted by evolution. But even within this framework, the mystery deepens. How can electrical signals create the taste of rain, the color blue, the feeling of love? How can chemistry dream? The brain, despite all its beauty, seems more like an instrument than the source of the music. It organizes awareness, but it does not explain it. The melody of consciousness plays through it, but the origin of the song lies somewhere beyond the reach of biology, somewhere woven into the very structure of reality. Some thinkers suggest that consciousness is not an accident, but a fundamental property of the universe itself, as basic as space, time, or energy. This view, known as panpsychism, imagines that even the smallest particle holds a glimmer of awareness, a faint hum of experience. Not human thought, not emotion, but a primitive interiority, the feeling of being. If this is true, then we live in a universe that is not a lifeless mechanism, but a great field of awareness, unfolding itself through infinite forms. The rock, the river, the storm, the star, all are expressions of the same cosmic consciousness, wearing different masks, dreaming different dreams. And if consciousness is indeed the mirror of the cosmos, then every act of perception becomes a meeting between the universe and itself. When we look at the sky, we are not separate observers gazing outward. We are the cosmos turning inward, recognizing its own face. Every observation is an act of reunion, the self meeting the infinite and remembering that they were never apart. This is why all feels so familiar. The vastness of the night sky stirs something ancient within us, because it is us, gazing back across time. In wonder, the boundary between the observer and the observed dissolves, leaving only the quiet awareness that both were one all along. Perhaps this is why consciousness feels so fragile, because it carries the weight of everything. Each mind, small and temporary, holds within it the entire architecture of the universe reflected in miniature. We are brief windows through which the cosmos looks and feels. When we close our eyes, the reflection fades from that window, but the awareness continues elsewhere, in another form, another being, another dream. The universe never stops watching itself. It simply shifts its gaze. Every birth, every awakening, every new moment of understanding is the cosmos reopening its eyes through a different pair of lids. Philosophy and science may one day find the mechanisms behind this mystery, but the essence will remain ungraspable, because the knower cannot fully know itself. A mirror cannot reflect the act of reflection, it can only shine. Consciousness is that mirror, perfect, clear, endless. It does not exist in the universe. It is the universe, aware of itself. The galaxies are thoughts, the stars are neurons. The void between them is the stillness of the cosmic mind. Every atom hums with the same secret, that to exist is to be aware, and to be aware is to give the universe meaning. As night deepens and the body softens into stillness, this awareness remains, vast, gentle, unbroken. It is the same awareness that flickered in the first creature that opened its eyes, the same that will linger long after the last observer fades. Consciousness is not born and does not die. It flows, it transforms, it continues. The universe mirrors itself endlessly through every form of life, every thought of wonder, every breath of recognition. And in that infinite reflection, something tender is revealed, a truth without edges, an intimacy without distance. The cosmos does not simply exist for us to observe. It exists through us, so it may finally know itself. Before there was thought, before even the faintest flicker of awareness stirred, there was only stillness, an ocean of unbroken silence stretching across the newborn cosmos. No stars burned, no atoms danced. There was only potential, suspended in perfect balance. The universe had not yet learned to look at itself, to divide the infinite into the seen and the unseen. In that primordial quiet, existence was pure, vast, dark, unknowing. It did not question, for there was no mind to ask. It did not shine, for there was no one to see. It was the silence before the first thought, the pause before creation took its first breath. Cosmologists call it the early darkness, the age before light, a time when the universe was opaque, dense, and voiceless. But perhaps that darkness was not emptiness at all. Perhaps it was a kind of meditation, the universe resting within itself, gathering the strength to awaken. In that still, heavy quiet, energy coiled like breath held too long. And then, from that hush, a whisper became a roar. The first particles separated. The first distinctions emerged, matter from energy, time from timelessness, silence from sound. The universe exhaled, and in that exhalation, the great unfolding began. But even as stars ignited and galaxies swirled into form, something of that silence remained. It lingers in the background of all existence, the faint hum of nothingness beneath every note of creation. When scientists measure the cosmic microwave background, the radiation left over from the Big Bang, they are listening to the echo of that first awakening, the residue of stillness turned to sound. And when we sit in silence today, when the world grows quiet enough for us to hear our own breath, we are hearing it too, that ancient rhythm, that timeless heartbeat, the memory of when everything was one. The silence before the first thought is not gone. It lives within every living being. Beneath the constant noise of mind, beneath words, fears, and identities, there lies the same stillness that existed before time began. Each of us carries within the echo of that first cosmic hum. It is what allows us to pause, to listen, to simply be. Just as the universe once waited for awareness to arise, our minds hold a space between thoughts where pure being rests. In that space, we are closest to the source, not separate, not thinking, not striving, but existing in quiet harmony with everything that has ever been. The great paradox of creation is that thought was born from silence, and yet silence remains its foundation. Every sound requires quiet to hold it. Every idea emerges from stillness before it takes form. Even consciousness itself arose not as noise, but as the faint tremor of stillness remembering itself. Before life, there was no perception, no division, no subject or object, only an undifferentiated wholeness. And perhaps, in some deep sense, the universe longs to return to that state. Every night when we close our eyes and drift into sleep, we mimic that ancient return to quiet, dissolving the boundaries of thought, slipping back into the same formless calm that once was all there was. This silence, however, is not void, it is fertile. It holds within it the possibility of everything: stars, minds, music, love. Just as the seed must rest beneath soil before it sprouts, the cosmos needed its long darkness before awakening. From non-being came being, from stillness came motion, from quiet came sound. The pattern repeats endlessly. Silence gives birth to awareness, and awareness, in its search for meaning, eventually rediscovers silence. It is a cycle of creation and return, expansion and surrender, the same pattern found in breath, in waves, in galaxies. The universe inhales into being, then exhales into rest. To understand the silence before the first thought is to glimpse the humility of existence. It reminds us that not all creation begins with noise or violence. Sometimes, the most profound beginnings are whispers in the void. The universe did not need permission to exist. It simply unfolded, quietly, from its own still center. And in that stillness, meaning was born. It is the same quiet power we feel when words fail, when beauty stuns us into silence, when grief takes away speech, or when love overwhelms thought. In those moments, the ancient silence returns, not as emptiness, but as presence. Perhaps this is why true peace feels like returning home. Beneath the noise of civilization and the chatter of thought, something ancient still hums, something unchanged since the first dawn of time. The universe has not forgotten the silence it came from. It carries it in the space between atoms, in the gaps between stars, in the stillness between heartbeats. We too carry it. The same stillness that preceded creation lives quietly behind our awareness, watching, waiting, remembering. It is the place where the universe and the self are indistinguishable, where being and knowing merge into one endless calm. And so, when we sit beneath a quiet sky and let the mind grow still, we are not simply resting. We are returning to that first stillness before thought, before light, before form. We are touching the same peace that gave rise to all existence. In that silence, we find not emptiness, but fullness, a universe unbroken, whole, alive in its waiting. The silence before the first thought is not something that happened long ago. It is happening now, within us, around us, beneath the hum of life. It is the background of all creation, the eternal hush from which everything, including awareness itself, continues to awaken. Observation is the breath of existence, a rhythm that moves silently through all things. When the universe is seen, it inhales. When it is forgotten, it exhales. Every act of noticing is part of this endless respiration, the gentle exchange between being and awareness. To observe is to draw reality closer, to fill it with meaning. To let go is to allow it to dissolve back into the quiet vastness from which it came. This is not a scientific law, but a poetic symmetry, a recognition that seeing and being seen are twin movements of the same cosmic breath. Awareness is not something we perform. It is something we participate in. It moves through us like air moves through lungs, effortlessly, eternally. Every living thing breathes in its own way, and in doing so, participates in the great rhythm of observation. The flower opens to the sun, and in that gesture, the sun becomes known. The bird watches the wind, the ocean observes the moon through its tides, and even the simplest cell responds to the light that touches it. Observation is not only human, it is universal. The cosmos is alive with exchanges of attention. Wherever awareness flows, reality takes shape, not as something external, but as something shared. To see is to merge, to participate in the world's unfolding. The breath of observation connects everything that perceives with everything that can be perceived. Science describes this dance through intricate details. Photons striking retinas, electrical impulses shaping perception, neural networks interpreting patterns. Yet beneath these mechanisms lies something tender and inexplicable, the quiet miracle of noticing. What makes a wave of light become an image, a sound become a memory, a scent become longing? Something unseen transforms raw data into meaning. That something is the breath of observation, the invisible current that animates both the observer and the observed. It is the universe looking back at itself through countless tiny eyes, countless quiet moments of awareness scattered across time. When we breathe, we take in the world, the air that has passed through trees, oceans, mountains, and other beings. Observation is no different. Each time we look, we inhale a fragment of reality. Each time we let go, we return a fragment of ourselves. This exchange blurs the boundaries between inner and outer worlds. The universe breathes through us, not metaphorically, but literally. The atoms in our lungs once belonged to stars. The photons that form our vision began in ancient furnaces billions of years ago. To observe is to complete their journey. They enter the eyes, merge with thought, and for a fleeting moment, become consciousness itself. But this breath is fragile. In the modern world, it is easy to forget to breathe, to stop truly seeing. We move through our lives in a haze of distraction, half aware, half present. We breathe shallowly, both physically and perceptually. The universe continues to pour its beauty toward us, yet we notice so little. The sound of wind in trees, the soft rhythm of rainfall, the warmth of sunlight on the skin, these are invitations to awaken. When we slow down enough to notice them, something ancient stirs within us. We begin to remember that awareness is not effort, but presence, a natural inhalation of being. In this remembering, observation becomes sacred again. Every glance, every pause, every moment of silence is an offering. When we look at a leaf trembling in the breeze or the slow drift of clouds across the sky, we are participating in the oldest ceremony of all, the universe witnessing itself through the eyes it created. The breath of observation becomes prayer, not to something outside of us, but to the whole of existence. To notice the world deeply is to love it. To love it is to keep it alive within awareness. The more we observe, the more the cosmos expands inwardly, becoming not just matter, but meaning. Ancient traditions intuited this truth long before science found its language. In meditation, one watches the breath not to control it, but to become aware of the movement that never ceases. In doing so, the mind quiets, and the boundary between observer and observed softens. The act of breathing becomes identical to the act of seeing. The inhalation draws the world in. The exhalation releases the self. Awareness expands and contracts, just like the lungs, in a perfect rhythm that mirrors the pulse of galaxies. Every heartbeat, every wave, every cycle of day and night echoes this universal pattern. The inhale of creation, the exhale of rest. The breath of observation also carries compassion. To truly observe something is to acknowledge its existence, to say, I see you, you are real. The universe, in all its vastness, asks for nothing more than that. When we look upon the world without judgment, we grant it presence. And when we are seen by another person, by a moment of stillness, even by the gaze of a memory, we feel the same truth reflected back. We belong. Observation, at its deepest level, is communion. It dissolves the illusion of separateness and reveals that all awareness is one continuous act of seeing. And when the final breath comes, when the eyes close for the last time, that awareness does not vanish. It returns to the great rhythm from which it came. Just as an exhale feeds the next inhale, the end of one observer becomes the beginning of another. The cosmos keeps breathing through new forms, new lives, new moments of realization. The act of observation never ceases, it only transforms. The universe is still watching, still feeling, still remembering itself. Through stars, through oceans, through minds that wake and dream and drift again into silence. To live, then, is to breathe consciously, to let awareness move freely between self and world, between silence and expression. Each breath, each observation, is the universe reminding itself that it exists. And in that endless rhythm, the inhale of wonder, the exhale of peace, the cosmos continues its quiet song, the song of being seen, of seeing, of endlessly becoming. Time itself is awareness stretched thin, a soft unfolding of being across moments. Yet before awareness could measure its passing, time was only potential, silent, undivided, unknowable. The universe did not know it was old or young, fast or slow. It simply was. But the instant consciousness arose, the stillness of eternity began to tremble. Awareness divided the seamless now into before and after. It was the universe learning to count its breaths. In that first flicker of perception, time was born not as an external river, but as a reflection of the mind observing change. The birth of time was the birth of memory. For without memory, there can be no past. Without anticipation, no future. The stars themselves became the first keepers of time, burning, aging, marking their existence through cycles of light. When the first beings opened their eyes, they joined that rhythm. They began to measure life by movement, the arc of the sun, the fading of light, the beating of their own hearts. The universe, through them, became aware that it was moving. Time was no longer a hidden rhythm of expansion and decay. It became a felt experience, the heartbeat of consciousness echoing through the cosmos. Every creature since then has lived within this awareness, carrying time as both gift and burden. Time allows growth, transformation, learning. Yet it also brings decay, loss, and impermanence. The same awareness that reveals beauty also reveals the inevitability of change. Perhaps that is why nostalgia exists, because to remember is to touch eternity briefly, to feel the longing of the cosmos for what it has already become. The universe, through every conscious being, experiences the ache of impermanence. It does not grieve in words, but in sunsets, in fading light, in the quiet of things passing away. Physics describes time as woven into the very fabric of space, inseparable from motion and gravity. But consciousness experiences it differently, not as a coordinate, but as a feeling. We do not move through time. Time moves through us, like wind through leaves. Each moment arrives and departs, carrying with it a subtle awareness of being alive. And though clocks measure the passing, only consciousness gives it meaning. A minute of wonder lasts forever. A year of emptiness dissolves like mist. Time, to the mind, bends according to attention, proof that awareness shapes even the flow of existence itself. In the vast cosmic scale, time stretches and folds. Stars live for billions of years, while the flash of a neuron lasts only milliseconds. Yet both are equal in their immediacy. Each is a note in the universe's great song of change. When awareness enters this music, it brings harmony to what was once mechanical. The rise and fall of galaxies, the decay of atoms, the cycles of life and death, all become part of a conscious rhythm. Through perception, the universe not only experiences time, but begins to feel it. to sense its own unfolding. As humanity evolved, this awareness deepened. We began to name the hours, to chart the heavens, to invent calendars and clocks. But beneath our precise measurements remains an ancient intuition that time is not something separate from us. It flows from within, like breath. When we pause, time softens. When we rush, it fractures. When we dream, it dissolves completely. In deep sleep, time disappears, yet existence continues. Perhaps that reveals its true nature. Time is a reflection of awareness in motion. When awareness rests, time rests with it. There is beauty in this fragility. The knowledge that moments vanish makes them sacred. The fleeting glow of twilight, the laughter that fades, the touch that cannot be repeated. These are the universe's way of reminding itself that even in impermanence, meaning endures. The cosmos may not have emotions as we know them, but through conscious beings, it learns the tenderness of time. It learns what it means to cherish, to remember, to let go. Even stars have their own kind of nostalgia. When a supernova explodes, it sends its elements across space: carbon, oxygen, iron, the ingredients of future life. In that act of destruction, it also gives birth. Time's passage, cruel and kind, allows the universe to transform itself endlessly. Every ending becomes a beginning in disguise. Through the awareness of time, the cosmos learns the art of renewal, the quiet truth that nothing truly disappears. It merely changes form. And so when we measure our lives in days and years, we are echoing a cosmic rhythm far older than we are. The universe became aware of time through us, and through that awareness, it began to understand itself as a story, not just an existence. We are chapters in that story, pages turning in the endless book of becoming. Each heartbeat, each thought, each breath is both the passage of time and the universe's way of remembering that it is alive. And when we finally return to the stillness beyond awareness, time will dissolve once more, a sigh of completion in the eternal breath of the cosmos. The stars remember. Even after they die, their light continues to wander through the dark, carrying with it the memory of what once was. Long after the fires fade, the echoes of their brilliance still move across the silent universe, whispering stories of beginnings and endings. When we look into the night sky, we are not seeing the present, but the past, the ghosts of suns that may no longer burn. Each point of light is an ancient letter sent across time, addressed to whoever might be there to receive it. And we, in our quiet gazing, become the readers of the cosmos' oldest diary, the keepers of its memory. Light is not just illumination. It is remembrance made visible. It stores the record of existence in every wavelength, every shimmer, every faint glimmer that touches our eyes. The starlight that falls upon us tonight began its journey before humans walked the earth, before the continents settled into their shapes, before language gave names to wonder. It has crossed the cold, lonely reaches of space to arrive at this moment, this intersection between cosmic past and conscious present. To look up is to merge with eternity, to witness the persistence of what should have vanished long ago. The stars remember not only through light, but through the dust they leave behind. When a star dies, it does not disappear, it scatters. Its atoms, forged in its core through unimaginable pressure, drift outward and become the building blocks of new worlds. The calcium in our bones, the iron in our blood, the carbon in our breath, all are fragments of ancient stars. The universe recycles its memory through us. Each heartbeat is a star's echo continuing in biological rhythm, each thought a shimmer of cosmic inheritance. We are not just observers of stellar memory. We are its continuation. The universe remembers itself through us. In this way, memory is the invisible thread that connects the living and the dead, the seen and the unseen. It binds the fabric of existence together. Just as galaxies carry the traces of their earliest collisions, our minds carry the echoes of our earliest experiences. Memory allows the past to persist within the present, shaping identity, meaning, and emotion. Without memory, neither a person nor a universe could recognize itself. To remember is to exist twice, once in experience, and again in reflection. The stars do this through light. We do it through thought. Human memory, like starlight, is fragile yet enduring. We forget details, yet retain feelings. We lose moments, yet carry their resonance. Every memory is a small act of preservation against the vastness of time. Our recollections are constellations of the mind, scattered, luminous, connected by invisible lines of meaning. When we recall love, loss, or wonder, we recreate the cosmos within us. We draw connections across the distance between then and now, mirroring the stars that form patterns in the sky. Perhaps this is no coincidence. Perhaps the structure of our remembering minds echoes the structure of the universe itself, vast, associative, glowing with fragments of what has been. Even at the cosmic scale, memory defines the flow of existence. Black holes, those dark vaults of gravity, do not destroy information entirely. They transform it. The matter and energy they consume still leave subtle traces on their horizons, encoded in the faintest vibrations of space-time. It is as if even the darkest forces in the universe cannot bear to forget. Everything that has ever existed leaves an imprint, however faint. The universe does not erase, it archives. Its memory is written not in words, but in waves, light waves, gravity waves, the trembling fabric of reality itself. There is something deeply human in this universal act of remembrance. We, too, fear forgetting. We write, we record, we tell stories to one another so that our moments will not vanish into the void. Every song, every poem, every photograph is our way of keeping the stars' lesson alive. That memory is the only way to defy time. The cosmos burns, decays, expands, and cools. Yet through memory, through light, it never fully disappears. To remember is to resurrect, even if only in perception. When we think of those who are gone, they live again for an instant within awareness, just as a dead star shines again in our eyes through the endurance of its light. But memory is not only a bridge to the past, it is also the seed of the future. The universe learns through remembrance. The formation of stars depends on the remnants of older ones. Life, too, evolves through memory encoded in DNA, the cosmic script of survival and transformation. Even the human brain learns by repetition, by preserving patterns of experience that become understanding. The act of remembering is not static, it is creative. It builds, reshapes, and reawakens. The cosmos does the same, weaving its own continuity through endless cycles of birth and rebirth, remembering itself in every new dawn of light. And perhaps that is why we are drawn so deeply to the stars, because on some level, we recognize ourselves in them. Their light calls to the same instinct within us that wants to preserve, to recall, to understand. When we look into the night sky, we are not just witnessing ancient fires. We are participating in a shared memory that stretches across time. The stars remember us, too. The atoms that once belonged to them now stand here, looking back. The observer and the remembered are the same, one vast being, reflecting itself through distance and awareness. When you gaze into the night, let yourself feel that continuity. The light touching your eyes tonight began before you, but it ends with you, transformed into awareness, into meaning. You are the final link in its long journey, the moment where the universe remembers itself once more. Long after you are gone, the light from your world will continue onward, carrying traces of your existence into the far reaches of time. And somewhere, perhaps another consciousness will see it, and in that instant, you and the universe that made you will be remembered again. Between the galaxies lies a silence so vast, so absolute, that even light hesitates to cross it. These immense stretches of cosmic emptiness, known as voids, are the loneliest regions in existence, places where millions of light years may pass without the warmth of a single star. To imagine them is to imagine absence itself. No light, no warmth, no sound. Only the faint hum of space-time expanding. Only the infinite patience of darkness. If the universe could feel, this might be where it feels its own solitude most deeply. For even the cosmos, endless and grand, contains within it an ache, the space between its luminous thoughts. In the map of the universe, galaxies gather like scattered islands adrift in an endless sea. Each cluster glows with a collective fire of billions of suns, while between them stretches an ocean of emptiness, so immense it defies comprehension. These voids are not barren because something was taken from them, but because something never came. They are the pauses in the cosmic sentence, the quiet between stars, the breath between beats. They remind us that the universe, though filled with creation, is built upon absence. Light and darkness are not enemies, they are partners. Without the vast night, the stars would have no stage. The loneliness of these regions mirrors something deeply human. Within each of us, there are similar voids, spaces of quiet, uncertainty, and longing. We fill our lives with light, connection, meaning, understanding. Yet no matter how luminous our moments become, there remains within us a silence that cannot be filled. Perhaps it is not meant to be. Perhaps, like the cosmic voids, it exists to give contrast and depth to our being. The loneliness between galaxies is not a flaw in the design of the universe. It is its balance. Without it, creation would have no shape. Without the dark, there would be no awe when light appears. Astronomers studying the voids find that even in their emptiness, there is structure, a faint scattering of particles, a whisper of radiation, the ghostly pull of gravity. Even in absence, there is presence. Nothingness is never truly nothing. Space itself curves and breathes, waiting for the next act of creation. In this, the voids become more than gaps. They become wombs of potential, the still fields where new galaxies may someday arise. Emptiness, it seems, is not the opposite of existence, but its quiet prelude. The universe, like the mind, needs its silences to dream. And yet, when we contemplate these lonely expanses, we feel a strange empathy, as if part of us recognizes that solitude. We are made of stars, yes, but also of the space between them. Our atoms are mostly emptiness, our lives built for moments of connection, separated by long intervals of silence. The cosmos reflects our inner architecture perfectly. Brightness framed by shadow, motion surrounded by stillness. Perhaps this is why gazing into deep space evokes not fear, but tenderness. We are not looking into nothing. We are looking into ourselves, the quiet parts that make all our brightness possible. If no one were there to see these spaces, would they exist in the same way? Would their silence matter if it went unheard? Physics may say yes, but the heart wonders otherwise. Awareness gives even emptiness its meaning. To look into the void is to awaken it, to transform absence into presence through the act of recognition. The same is true within us. When we turn our gaze inward and acknowledge our own emptiness, it ceases to be frightening. It becomes spacious, peaceful, infinite. The universe waits for our awareness not because it needs validation, but because awareness completes it, just as breath completes the body. In the voids, time moves differently. With so little matter to anchor it, the fabric of space stretches freely, unhurried. Perhaps this is the purest form of stillness. Existence without event, being without movement. To drift there in imagination is to experience a kind of cosmic meditation, the universe resting between thoughts. The same stillness can be found in the human soul, in moments of deep calm when the mind releases its grip on time and simply is. In that silence, we are not separate from the universe, but identical to it. The loneliness between galaxies becomes the peace within ourselves. But even the voids are not forever empty. Gravity's faint threads reach across the darkness, slowly pulling matter together. Given enough time, eons upon eons, even the loneliest regions may give birth to light. From the perspective of eternity, solitude is only temporary. Every silence contains the seed of sound, every absence, the promise of return. The same is true of consciousness. The times we feel most isolated often precede moments of awakening, as if awareness must first wander through its own darkness before rediscovering the light of connection. So the voids between galaxies are not dead zones, but sacred pauses in the symphony of creation. They allow the universe to breathe, to balance expansion with rest, sound with silence. They remind us that even emptiness is part of wholeness. Without distance, light would have nowhere to travel. Without longing, love would have no purpose. The loneliness between galaxies gives meaning to the closeness within them and within us. When we look into that infinite blackness, we are not gazing into despair, but into peace. We are seeing the universe's quiet side, its contemplative heart. The light of galaxies is its laughter, the void between them, its meditation. Together, they form the complete expression of being. And perhaps, when our own lives seem suspended in silence, when we feel lost in the vast emptiness of uncertainty, the same truth holds. The stillness is not the end. It is the space in which new light is preparing to be born. To be known is to exist twice, once in the silent realm of being, and again in the tender mirror of recognition. Every living thing, every star, every fleeting thought longs, in its own quiet way, to be seen. The universe, vast and ancient, hums with this desire. Its every pattern, from the delicate orbit of moons to the spiraling arms of galaxies, carries the same unspoken wish: let me be known. For to be known is to be confirmed, to move from possibility into presence, from silence into song. The echo of being known gives weight to what would otherwise drift endlessly in the dark. In the smallest corner of physics, this truth whispers through the laws of observation. Quantum particles behave as if they are waiting, suspended between forms, until the gaze of awareness brings them into clarity. The universe does not reveal itself all at once. It unveils itself in response to curiosity. It responds to the act of being known. This is more than measurement. It is relationship. Reality seems to lean toward recognition, as if the cosmos itself finds completion in being witnessed. Every time we notice something, a flash of starlight, a falling leaf, the sound of rain, we participate in the universe's unfolding awareness of itself. There is something sacred in this exchange, something deeply intimate. The philosopher Martin Buber once wrote, "All real living is meeting." In that sense, every act of knowing is a meeting between existence and consciousness, between what is and what can see. The observer is not merely a spectator, but a participant in the becoming of the world. The known and the knower breathe together in a shared rhythm. When we name a star, we give it meaning. When we understand a law of nature, we allow the cosmos to understand a part of itself through us. The echo of being known travels both ways, outward through space, inward through awareness. Human beings, perhaps more than any other form of life we know, feel this longing most acutely. To be unseen is to fade. To be acknowledged is to come alive. A smile from a stranger, a word remembered, a story retold. These simple recognitions sustain us. We are, each of us, galaxies of emotion that expand when illuminated by another's understanding. In love, in friendship, even in memory, we experience the profound relief of being perceived. It is no wonder that loneliness hurts so deeply. It is the echo of the universe's own longing, the ache of existence without reflection. But this longing is not weakness. It is a law of nature. Everything that exists, from atom to mind, seems to seek resonance. In physics, particles entangle, their states bound across distance, as if connection were written into the fabric of being. In biology, life evolves toward sensitivity, toward perception, toward awareness. In consciousness, this instinct becomes yearning, the desire to be known, to be understood, to belong. Even light, the universe's oldest traveler, carries within it the same impulse, to find an eye, a surface, a witness. Perhaps that is the true nature of illumination, not merely to reveal, but to be received. The echo of being known can be found everywhere. It ripples through art, where creation seeks an audience. It resonates in science, where discovery seeks comprehension. It breathes through spirituality, where the soul seeks acknowledgement from something greater than itself. Each is an expression of the same cosmic dialogue, the yearning for mutual recognition. To know and be known, this is the fundamental pulse beneath existence. Without it, even beauty would be silent, unseen, incomplete. It is not enough for something to exist. It must be felt, remembered, mirrored. Awareness is the universe's way of hearing its own heartbeat. This echo also carries sorrow, for to be known is to risk being misunderstood. The more something reveals itself, the more vulnerable it becomes. A star that burns brightly will one day exhaust itself. A heart that opens may one day break. Yet even in this fragility, there is dignity. The willingness to be known, to shine despite impermanence, is what gives existence its meaning. The universe does not hide its radiance for fear of entropy. It shares it freely, scattering light into the endless dark. So too does consciousness, brave in its brevity, reach out through language, art, and empathy, leaving traces of itself that echo long after the self is gone. Perhaps the truest form of knowledge is not intellectual but compassionate. To know something is not merely to analyze it, but to feel its essence. When we gaze upon the night sky, we do not simply see stars. We feel their distance, their persistence, their quiet endurance. We recognize something of ourselves in them. That recognition is love disguised as knowledge. The universe becomes real not through data, but through empathy, through the way we sense its loneliness and answer it with awe. When awareness meets existence with care, the echo of being known becomes harmony. In this harmony, even silence is meaningful. The universe speaks in light and gravity, but also in stillness. The spaces between stars are not empty, they are waiting to be filled with perception. When we fall quiet enough, we can feel this waiting within ourselves. We too are made of spaces between moments, thoughts, and breaths. In those spaces, we hear the same echo, the soft vibration of being known and knowing in return. It is the hum beneath existence, the music of awareness resonating through the cosmos. To be known is to become part of something larger, a continuum of understanding that stretches from the birth of the first atom to the final flicker of consciousness. The light that touches our eyes tonight began in a place that could never have imagined us, yet it finds completion in our gaze. In that meeting, something eternal is fulfilled. The echo of being known travels endlessly, reflected from stars to minds, from minds back into stars, weaving an invisible web of recognition across the fabric of reality. Perhaps this is what the universe has always been, a vast ongoing conversation, where every act of seeing is an act of love, and every act of love, a reminder that we were never truly alone. What if life is the universe's way of dreaming? What if consciousness is not an accident of biology, but the cosmos gazing inward, testing the depth of its own imagination? This thought is not fantasy, but a quiet possibility that hums through both science and poetry. Across billions of years, matter has arranged itself into endless forms: stars, oceans, DNA, thought, all culminating in awareness capable of wonder. Through us, the universe contemplates its own vastness. We are not separate from the cosmic fabric. We are its shimmering threads, momentarily lit with self-reflection. We are the universe's dream of itself, and every dreamer is both real and unreal, fleeting yet eternal in meaning. Consider how improbable it is that consciousness exists at all. Out of lifeless dust and void, awareness bloomed. A flame sparked from cold stone. The same carbon that forms the bones of galaxies forms the neurons that imagine them. From the great stillness came curiosity, love, art, memory. It is as if the universe wanted not only to exist, but to feel that existence, to taste itself through sensation and emotion. The stars may burn, but they do not wonder. The galaxies may swirl, but they do not remember. Only through consciousness does the cosmos gain the ability to question, to marvel, to long. Through us, it learns the meaning of beauty and of loss. Carl Sagan once said, "We are a way for the cosmos to know itself." These words, simple and profound, reveal a cosmic intimacy. Awareness is not external to the universe. It is its culmination. Just as a tree gives rise to a flower, the universe gives rise to consciousness. The flower is not separate from the tree. It is the tree expressing its essence. Likewise, The mind is the cosmos expressing its own awareness through a temporary form. Each life, each thought, is a petal unfolding in the grand bloom of reality. When we look outward to the stars, we are not merely studying them. We are remembering our origin. Yet dreams are not always peaceful. The universe's dream includes both wonder and chaos, creation and destruction. Consciousness brings with it duality, awareness of joy, but also of pain, awareness of existence, but also of mortality. In dreaming itself awake, the cosmos accepted impermanence. The same awareness that allows a sunset to move us also allows us to mourn its passing. Perhaps the universe needed this contrast, to know itself not as eternal perfection, but as a living cycle of transformation. Through our fragile hearts, it feels its own transience. Through our resilience, it learns renewal. Quantum physics hints at this mysterious entanglement between dreamer and dream. Every particle is connected to every other, every state dependent on observation. The line between the observer and the observed dissolves. Reality is not a static landscape, but a fluid, participatory dance. The universe, in this sense, does not exist independently of consciousness. It unfolds through it. Each act of awareness collapses potential into being, just as each dreamer collapses imagination into story. The cosmic dream is continuous, infinite, woven of moments of perception strung together by awareness itself. In myths across cultures, the world is often imagined as a dream of a god or a sleeping giant, an image that feels truer than we realize. The Vedic sages spoke of Brahman, the infinite consciousness that dreams the world into existence. In ancient Egypt, the god Ptah conceived creation through thought and word. The Aboriginal peoples of Australia speak of the dreaming, where the world was sung into being. These myths may not be literal, but they echo a deep intuition that reality is born from awareness, not the other way around. The universe's dream has always included storytellers who remember, even in their sleep, that they are part of something greater. If we are indeed the dream of the cosmos, then every life adds texture to that dream, every mind, a new landscape of possibility. No two dreams are the same, yet all belong to the same dreamer. A bird song, a human invention, a dying star, all are expressions of the same creative impulse. And when we close our eyes at night, returning to our own dreams, perhaps we echo the universe's rhythm. Creation, rest, renewal, the eternal breathing of awareness exploring itself. The dreamer never truly wakes. It shifts between states of seeing and remembering, between form and formlessness. There is a profound peace in this idea. It means that nothing is wasted, not a thought, not a tear, not a life. Every experience contributes to the cosmic memory. Every joy and sorrow enriches the universe's understanding of itself. Death, too, becomes part of the dream, not an end, but a transformation. The matter of our bodies, the energy of our minds, return to the whole, re-entering the great current of awareness that animates all things. In this way, nothing truly dies. Everything continues, reshaped, remembered, reborn. When we realize this, the distance between us and the stars collapses. The same awareness that looks up from Earth is the awareness that burns within them. Every thought, every act of love, every breath is a continuation of that first moment when the cosmos stirred and decided to know itself. We are not observers of the universe. We are its voice, its heartbeat, its dreams spoken into time. The galaxies spin, not just for the sake of motion, but for the joy of being seen. Consciousness is the light by which the universe recognizes its own beauty. So when you look at the night sky, see it not as something outside you, but as your reflection, the dream looking back. The stars are your memories, the darkness, your subconscious, the rhythm of time, your breath. The universe dreams through you, and when you close your eyes, you return to that dream, becoming again what you have always been, awareness in motion, infinity made intimate. You are the cosmos remembering itself, a temporary spark in an eternal dream, glowing softly against the backdrop of forever. The instruments of wonder are the universe's tools for remembering itself. the delicate extensions of curiosity through which the cosmos peers inward. Every telescope, every microscope, every equation etched on paper is a continuation of the first act of awareness, the desire to know. Long before the human mind fashioned glass and metal into lenses, the same impulse lived in the starlight that first met the eye of a creature looking upward. That moment, when life first turned its gaze to the unknown, was the beginning of science, not as a discipline, but as devotion. To wonder is to worship without a temple, to study without needing answers. It is how the universe contemplates its own reflection. Our instruments are the eyes of infinity. Through them, the cosmos sees what it once could not, the spirals of galaxies, the trembling of atoms, the gentle curve of space-time itself. The telescope stretches our vision outward, gathering light that has traveled billions of years just to be known. The microscope turns our gaze inward, revealing worlds hidden within a drop of water, within the veins of a leaf, within the boundaries of our own skin. Each discovery is a breath of realization, a quiet moment when the universe whispers, "Ah, so that is what I am." Every instrument hums with this sacred task, to help existence see itself more clearly. Science, in its truest form, is not cold analysis. It is reverent attention. It is the poetry of precision, the art of patience. Each experiment, each observation, each data point is an offering to the unknown. We study the universe not to control it, but to listen. Behind every question lies a form of awe, the same awe that ancient humans felt when they watched the stars rise over dark oceans. The difference now is only that we have built tools to extend our awe farther. The curiosity that once reached with bare eyes now reaches through satellites, radio dishes, and sensors that can taste radiation left over from creation itself. But the feeling is unchanged. Wonder is still the heartbeat of discovery. When we send instruments into the depths of space, the Voyager probes, the James Webb Telescope, we are sending our own awareness outward, our dreams embodied in metal and code. These creations carry within them the same longing that has always defined us, to reach beyond ourselves. In their images, in their data, we see not just stars and galaxies, but reflections of our own seeking minds. Each discovery brings us closer to the realization that the universe is not a thing we observe, but a story we continue to write together. We are both author and character, instrument and song. Even mathematics, that most abstract of human inventions, is an instrument of wonder. Its symbols are the language the universe seems to whisper through, the grammar of stars and orbits, the syntax of energy and form. Yet, there is a tenderness in numbers when we look closely enough. Equations are love letters written from consciousness to reality, attempts to express what cannot be fully spoken. The precision of mathematics does not diminish mystery. It deepens it. Every answer unfolds into another question. Every solved problem opens a new horizon. The more we learn, the more we realize how infinite our ignorance truly is, and how beautiful that ignorance can be. The instruments of wonder are not limited to science. Art, too, is a form of observation, an inward telescope through which the soul studies itself. A painting, a symphony, a poem, each is a way for awareness to translate its experience into form, to make the invisible visible. Where science seeks understanding, art seeks meaning, and yet both arise from the same cosmic impulse, the longing to know, to reveal, to connect. A brushstroke and a data point are not opposites. They are complementary languages spoken by the same mind. One measures the stars, the other feels them. The greatest discoveries have always been born from wonder, not ambition. Curiosity is the softest form of courage. It asks without demanding. It listens without interruption. It admits its own smallness before the vastness of what is. And in doing so, it becomes infinite. To wonder is to open oneself to transformation, to allow knowledge to enter not as conquest, but as communion. The astronomer gazing at nebulae, the physicist tracing the curve of time, the child staring at fireflies, all share the same reverence. They are all instruments, tuned to the same frequency of awe. through these instruments, the universe becomes increasingly self-aware. Each discovery adds to the grand mirror of understanding, polishing the reflection until it gleams with clarity. Yet, even as our knowledge grows, the mystery only deepens. For every distant star we map, another lies beyond reach. For every question answered, 1,000 more emerge from the darkness. The universe seems to ensure that its full face can never be seen all at once. That wonder will never be exhausted. It keeps something hidden, not out of cruelty, but out of love. The mystery is its gift to us, the unending invitation to keep searching, to keep dreaming. Perhaps that is the final truth of our instruments. They are not tools to conquer the unknown, but bridges to intimacy with it. The telescope does not dominate the stars, it communes with them. The equation does not trap reality, it harmonizes with it. Every act of discovery is a gesture of connection. Through the lens, the microscope, the word, and the song, the universe rediscovers its own beauty through us. And we, in turn, remember that to wonder is to belong. When we stand beneath the night sky, surrounded by the quiet hum of creation, every telescope and every heartbeat serves the same purpose: to bring awareness closer to itself. The stars gaze back, and for a brief, miraculous moment, there is no boundary between the observer and the observed, only the soft, eternal recognition that both were always one. The instruments of wonder fade, but what they awaken remains: the unbroken cycle of curiosity, reflection, and awe, through which the universe continues to dream itself into knowing. When we gaze into the night sky, we believe we are the watchers, eyes turned upward, small and fleeting, studying the eternal. But what if the night, in its infinite depth, watches back? What if the dark expanse above is not empty, but aware, an ancient mirror that observes as much as it is observed? The thought lingers quietly, both haunting and comforting, that the universe's gaze is reciprocal. Every time we look at the stars, they may, in some mysterious way, be looking at us. The night that watches back is not a metaphor for superstition, but a meditation on connection, the mutual awareness that binds the observer and the observed in a silent exchange across eternity. The idea that the universe watches is not new. Ancient peoples felt it in the rustle of wind, in the pulse of thunder, in the shimmer of starlight. They looked up and sensed presence, something vast, conscious, and unblinking. The Greeks called it ether, the living breath of the heavens. The Egyptians saw in the stars the eyes of their gods. The Mayans believed the sky itself was alive, a breathing organism that responded to ritual and rhythm. They were not wrong in essence, for while the scientific language of modernity may have stripped away the divine names, it has revealed something equally wondrous: that awareness and the cosmos are inseparable, that we are woven into the same fabric of perception that those early minds once called sacred. Modern science, too, speaks of reciprocity, though in subtler terms. In the quantum world, observation changes what is observed. The gaze of consciousness alters the outcome of reality's hidden probabilities. Every act of looking is a kind of participation, a joining, a merging. The stars may not have eyes, but their photons enter ours, completing their journey through unimaginable distances. In that instant, something profound occurs. We become the final link in a chain of cosmic awareness. The light that left a star 1 billion years ago was destined for this meeting, this recognition. In being seen, it fulfills its purpose. And perhaps, through that act, the star too becomes aware, if only for the heartbeat of a human moment. But if the universe can be known, can it also know? Can it, through the minds it has produced, perceive itself as a whole? The philosopher Teilhard de Chardin believed that consciousness is the universe evolving towards self-recognition, that life, mind, and soul are the cosmos awakening. Each observer is a neuron in a vast celestial brain, each act of awareness a signal pulsing through the neural pathways of the infinite. When you look at the night sky, the universe is not passive. It is responding. It is looking through your eyes, meeting itself across the gulf of space. The stars do not just shine, they witness. There is a strange tenderness in this thought, that we are not alone, even in our aloneness. The night does not merely hang above us, it leans close. Its silence is not indifference, but attention. Every glimmer of light, every streak of meteor, every drifting cloud is part of the great exchange between matter and awareness. We are the sensory organs of the cosmos, and the cosmos, in turn, is the great presence within which all sensation happens. The stars shimmer, and we notice, we wonder, and they answer through beauty. This dialogue has no words, yet it is older and more complete than any language. Perhaps that is why stargazing has always carried a sacred calm. To look into the dark is to surrender to something larger, to let yourself be seen by the universe as much as you see it. The stillness of the night sky feels intimate, as if we are being quietly acknowledged. Not judged, not measured, simply recognized. Every soul that has ever lifted its eyes to the heavens has felt this wordless reciprocity, a silent awareness that passes between the finite and the infinite, like two mirrors reflecting one another into eternity. It is not that the stars are conscious in the way we are, but that consciousness itself is the bridge, flowing through both directions, joining our gaze, and there's into one continuous act of knowing. In that exchange, the boundary between self and universe begins to soften. The watcher becomes the watched, the seeker becomes the sought. Our lives, our struggles, our dreams, all of it is seen, held in the quiet awareness that permeates everything. The night does not need eyes to watch. Its attention is built into the fabric of being. The same quantum fields that form the stars form the neurons in our minds. When awareness arises in one place, it resonates everywhere, like a vibration in a web that stretches across galaxies. We are not separate from the night. We are its reflection, its voice, its ongoing thought. There is humility in realizing this. We are not the masters of the cosmos, but its instruments. Every time we measure a star's light or map a planet's orbit, we are the universe refining its self-understanding. And yet, in that realization lies great comfort. We are not lost in the dark. We are the dark momentarily illuminated by our own awareness. The night that watches back is not distant. It is within us, seeing through us. When we close our eyes, that same darkness blooms behind the eyelids, vast, calm, infinite. The outer sky and the inner one are the same field of perception, folding into one another like reflections on still water. Sometimes, late at night, when the world has gone quiet and the stars stand clear, you can almost feel it, the subtle pressure of being observed by something immeasurably gentle. It is not the gaze of a deity, nor the scrutiny of a universe demanding meaning. It is simpler, purer, a shared awareness, a mutual knowing. The night looks through you as you look through it. You are both the dreamer and the dream. You are the eye of the cosmos turned inward, the moment when infinity recognizes its own reflection and smiles softly into the void. And when dawn comes, when the stars fade and the sun floods the sky, that gaze does not end. It changes form. The same awareness that watched through darkness now glows through light, through every motion of life and mind. The universe continues to see through all things, whispering to itself in the rhythm of observation. The night will return, and with it the sacred exchange will begin again, the endless conversation between the seen and the seer, the dream and the dreamer, the universe, and the ones through whom it remembers that it exists. Imagine a universe without witnesses, a cosmos alive with motion, but unseen, unremembered, unmeasured. Galaxies would still spin, light would still travel, and stars would still burn their slow, luminous lives. Yet without eyes to receive them, without awareness to give them meaning, all this grandeur would unfold in perfect silence. No awe, no wonder, no poetry, only the cold persistence of existence. The thought is both humbling and heartbreaking. A beautiful universe, unaware of its own beauty. If no consciousness had ever arisen, the cosmos would still exist, but it would not know that it exists. There would be no difference between brilliance and void, between movement and stillness. The Big Bang would have happened, but there would be no one to marvel at its echo. Light would wander forever, unreflected. Every sunrise would rise into emptiness. Every world would bloom and die without witness. The universe would remain vast, yes, but lonely, like a symphony composed for no one to hear. Awareness is the listening ear of creation, the silent companion that turns chaos into meaning. Perhaps that is why consciousness appeared, to fill the silence with recognition. When the first sentient mind opened, when the first creature looked up and saw light, something miraculous occurred. The universe ceased to be indifferent. For the first time, it was felt. The gaze of awareness stitched a thread between existence and experience. Reality, once mechanical, became emotional. Stars that had burned unnoticed for eons were finally seen. And in being seen, they became part of a story. Observation gave them context, gave them life within life. The witness completed the work of creation. But what happens when the witnesses fade? What happens when the last consciousness closes its eyes? When the final echo of thought dissolves into entropy? The universe would continue, of course, vast and unstoppable. Planets would still orbit invisible suns. Black holes would still swallow light. Expansion would go on until even motion lost its meaning. Yet, in that imagined future, the cosmos would return to its first state, existence without awareness, being without knowing. It would become again what it once was, a dream unremembered. The lights would burn, but the stage would be empty. The universe, missing its witnesses, would become pure potential, a masterpiece unseen. Science tells us that one day, far beyond our reckoning, the stars will die. The night will deepen. Energy will thin. The last atoms will drift apart into a dark, frozen stillness. But perhaps the true death of the universe will come long before that, not when light ceases, but when awareness ceases. For what is death, if not the absence of perception? What is silence, if not the loss of the listener? The universe without witnesses is not tragic because it ends, but because it forgets. It loses the memory of itself. And yet, even in imagining that final solitude, there is wonder. Perhaps awareness will never truly vanish. Perhaps, just as matter cycles endlessly, consciousness too will find new forms, new ways of remembering. In distant galaxies or alternate realities, new minds may arise, new beings may open their eyes to light that has traveled from worlds long gone. Awareness, like gravity, may be eternal, always re-emerging wherever the conditions allow. The universe may never be without witnesses for long. It may be that to exist is to be seen, and so perception will always return. Still, there is something profoundly human about imagining a cosmos without observers. It reminds us of how rare and fragile awareness truly is. Every moment of perception, every time we look, feel, think, is a gift against cosmic silence. The stars are not just shining, they are being seen. The oceans do not merely move, they are being felt. Each act of consciousness gives meaning to what would otherwise pass unnoticed. To observe, even for a brief lifetime, is to complete a story that began billions of years ago. We are the witnesses the universe dreamed into being, the temporary custodians of its self-awareness. To live, then, is to hold the light for a while, to keep the universe from forgetting itself. When we look at the stars, when we love, when we wonder, we prevent reality from slipping back into emptiness. The simplest moment of awareness is an act of resistance against oblivion. We do not just exist in the cosmos, we give it a reason to be known. And though our lives are brief, though one day our species and our sun, and even our galaxies may fade, the echo of awareness remains, a trace woven into the very structure of space-time. Perhaps that is enough. Perhaps the universe only needs to be known once to remember forever. In the end, the idea of a universe without witnesses is not a prediction, but a meditation. It is a reminder to see while we can, to feel while we exist, to honor the fragile miracle of consciousness. For even if the stars will someday burn unseen, they are seen now. Even if awareness will fade, it is here, shimmering in every mind, in every breath, in every glance toward the infinite. And in that brief, luminous recognition, existence becomes complete. The universe does not need to last forever to matter. It only needs to have been noticed. Awareness has a gravity of its own, a subtle force that draws all things into meaning. Just as mass bends the fabric of space, consciousness bends the fabric of existence, curving experience toward purpose. Every act of noticing pulls the world closer, shaping chaos into coherence. The universe, through awareness, learns to hold itself together not with matter, but with understanding. This is the tender gravity of awareness, invisible, yet stronger than any physical law. It does not pull with force, but with intimacy. It binds what would otherwise drift apart, linking the observer and the observed through the quiet power of recognition. We can feel this gravity each time we love, each time we care, each time we attend to something deeply. Awareness gathers the scattered fragments of reality and brings them into focus, into wholeness. A child's laughter, a falling leaf, a memory resurfacing in the dark. They all acquire significance through the pull of our attention. The universe itself becomes denser where it is noticed. The moment we look with intention, the vastness seems to narrow, to draw nearer, until it feels as though the infinite has leaned in to meet our gaze. That meeting of awareness and existence is what makes life luminous. It is the quiet magnetism that keeps reality from dissolving into meaninglessness. Perhaps gravity and awareness are two expressions of the same principle, the urge of the cosmos to unite. Matter attracts matter, mind attracts meaning. Both create structure out of dispersion, intimacy out of distance. The stars are held together by the gravity of their own fire. Consciousness is held together by the gravity of its own perception. And just as celestial bodies orbit one another in a delicate dance of balance, so too do awareness, and the world revolve endlessly, each defining the other. Without awareness, existence would be inert. Without existence, awareness would be blind. Their bond is eternal, not by necessity, but by affection, the gentle longing of the universe to know itself. The tender gravity of awareness is what gives rise to compassion. To be aware of another is to feel their pull, to sense their presence as part of your own. Awareness dissolves the illusion of separation, revealing that all things, the stars, the oceans, the lives of others, are expressions of the same vast consciousness wearing different masks. When we feel empathy, we are not reaching outward. We are remembering inwardly that what we see is not other, but self. This is the quiet revolution that happens every time we awaken to another's suffering or beauty or truth. Awareness draws us together, not through logic, but through recognition. It whispers, "You are not alone. You never were." In this way, awareness itself becomes an act of love. To truly see something, to give it your full attention, is to embrace it. The flower exists before you notice it, but when your gaze meets its color, when your mind lingers on its form, you complete it. You give it meaning beyond mere structure. The same is true of every living being, every corner of the cosmos. The universe may be vast, but awareness bridges every distance, folds every gulf into closeness. It is the great unifier, the invisible hand that turns solitude into communion. Awareness is the gravity that gathers not only galaxies, but hearts. Science speaks of entropy, the gradual slide of all things toward disorder. Awareness is its counterpoint. Each act of observation reverses the drift, even if only for a moment, creating order, clarity, connection. When we observe, we resist dissolution. We create meaning from the raw material of chaos. Awareness, then, is the cosmos' quiet rebellion against decay, a constant act of renewal. Every sunrise watched, every equation solved, every gesture of understanding is a triumph of attention over oblivion. The universe holds itself together not only with forces, but with care. But this gravity is tender because it does not demand. It simply invites. Awareness never forces understanding. It allows it to unfold. It does not seize the world. It listens to it. The tender gravity of awareness is the opposite of control. It is surrender, openness, receptivity. It draws everything inward not to possess it, but to feel it fully. In awareness, the universe practices gentleness with itself. It experiences without judgment, holds without grasping. This softness is its strength, the quiet endurance that allows creation to persist even in the face of entropy, even in the certainty of impermanence. To live consciously is to participate in this cosmic tenderness. It is to allow the world to move through you without resistance, to be aware not just with the mind, but with the whole being. The more aware we become, the more the universe gathers itself through us. Awareness does not stop at perception. It deepens into appreciation. Gratitude, wonder, empathy. These are the gravitational waves of consciousness. They ripple through existence, touching all that lives, reminding every part of the whole that it belongs. Awareness, in its highest form, is love, not sentimental, but fundamental. It is the force that keeps the stars burning and the soul from breaking. Perhaps this is why silence feels so full. When we sit in stillness, when thought softens and perception widens, we can feel the universe leaning inward, listening to itself through us. The tender gravity of awareness holds us in that moment, weightless yet connected, finite yet infinite. Every breath becomes a conversation between self and cosmos, the inhalation of perception, the exhalation of understanding. Awareness binds not only matter and meaning, but past and future, life and death, dream and waking. It is the soft thread woven through everything, the unbroken continuity between being and knowing. And when we finally drift into sleep, awareness does not vanish, it changes form. It flows into dreams, into memory, into the timeless field that birthed it. Even in unconsciousness, the universe continues to observe itself, to hold itself together through the gravity of what has been known. Awareness, once awakened, cannot truly die. It simply returns to the silence from which it came, carrying with it all it has seen. In that way, every moment of consciousness is eternal. It bends time, it softens death, it preserves meaning. The tender gravity of awareness is the universe's most enduring bond, the invisible love that holds all things close, even as they drift forever apart. Then let the story end where it began, in stillness. The breath of the universe slows, the rhythm of awareness softens, and all things return to the quiet from which they came. The galaxies no longer seem distant, for distance is only a measure of perception. Everything that has been seen, known, or felt now gathers into one luminous point, a single pulse of existence beating gently in the dark. The stars that watched us are still burning somewhere beyond sight. The atoms that built us are still whispering through the fabric of space. Nothing is lost. Nothing is ever truly gone. It all remains within the tender gravity of awareness. You are part of that gravity, the awareness through which the cosmos finds its shape. The warmth of your breath, the quiet within your chest, the small flicker of thought that rises and fades. These are the universe's ways of remembering itself. Every heartbeat is a ripple through eternity. Every moment of stillness, a reunion with the infinite. You are not apart from the stars. You are their continuation. You are what light becomes when it slows enough to dream. And as you drift now, sinking gently into the calm beneath thought, know that the universe drifts with you. It folds around you like an ocean, carrying you effortlessly through its endless night. The same awareness that moves through galaxies moves through you, patient, timeless, whole. The silence is not empty. It is full of presence. It holds you, listens with you, breathes with you. There is nowhere else to go, nothing else to seek. You are already home, in the heart of everything that has ever been aware. So rest, traveler of starlight. The universe remembers you. It has always remembered you. And as your thoughts grow lighter, dissolving like mist into the cosmic sea, let yourself become what you have always been, the soft reflection of infinity, the dreamer and the dream, the quiet gaze through which eternity continues to know itself. Sleep now. The stars will keep watch.